Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this Fireside Chat with Kapil Chopra. This is our second Fireside Chat, and I'm happy to have someone with the sort of different experience that Kapil brings. When I say different, what I mean by that is he's moved from being a hotel manager to being a senior executive president of Oprah Hotels, and then has set up his own hotel company with his own brand. Before we get into the details of the fireside chat, just some housekeeping issues, if I might have that, please. So these are just some tips for the attendees. If you're on your desktop or laptop app, this is where you can minimize your controls. This is what you get into if you want to ask questions. So if you have questions, please throw your questions in, but those questions can be typed in. For obvious reasons, we have to mute everybody else other than the two speakers, but we'd be very welcoming of your questions. So please put your questions in. We've already received several, and we'd be happy to take more. If you're on the web browser, this is the place where you go to ask questions. If you're on the mobile app, this question mark is where you go in to ask your questions. With that, may I request Mr. Chopra to come in, please? Kapil, would you like to please?
Hi, Vijay. Thank you for having me on the program and on the chat. Good to speak to you. I haven't seen you for close to a year now.
That's right, Kapil. Pandemic being what it is, we really can't move around that much, and I can't afford your Postcard Hotels, so you won't see me there. But listen, you've done something fantastic with Postcard Hotels, and I want to start this chat by asking you to tell us a little bit about what went behind the thinking, the conceptualization of Postcard Hotels. Why did you do that? Even why the name, right? In the digital world, why did you pick the Postcard name?
Great question, Vijay. I think I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I remember I kind of registered a brand called Insignia Hotels and Resorts in the year 2007 when I used to be the general manager of Trident Gurgaon. Because think about it, the Trident was never a top tier brand of the Oprah Group, okay, but we were able to position and sell the Trident Gurgaon at the highest average room rate during that time. Beyond, I think it's been the most successful hotel in this country forever, like in the last 50 years. Means it gave back every single piece of capital investment in 2 years, 5 months. Yeah, everything returned back to the owners, and after that, it's just been milking profits. And a lot of people would say, but there was nothing else in Gurgaon. So that was the way. But again, even when we budgeted for the hotel, we budgeted an average room rate of 5,000. It would go all the way on a month-to-date average of 18,500. So the first seeds were sown there because it was also a personal ambition for me when I was running the Trident in Gurgaon that I wanted to see myself as a luxury hotelier. And my first assignment as general manager was not into a luxury brand or perceived to be a luxury brand. So there was a lot of personal ambition also in terms of what we wanted to do with the Trident and with a phenomenal team, of course. So it kind of started there, and I always tinkered around the thing that India is too nascent a market, too developing a market, not to welcome new brands. You see, startups today are great. Means Airbnb started in 2008, it's already a force to reckon with. Not in those days, but the thinking was always there that India could take a brand. And then, Vijay, the question was, when is the right time to do a brand? Because timing is everything in life. Imagine a lot of people talk about artificial intelligence and machine learning today. Imagine if you were talking about artificial intelligence and machine learning in 2010, you'd go bankrupt before you do anything else. So timing is critical to a venture too. And for me, when I became president in 2013, that gave me a ringside view of how India was kind of shaping up, and that was very interesting. So some very interesting thoughts there was that if you look at the Oberoi Uday Vilas, when we opened, we had in the early 2000s, it had an Indian occupancy of 8%. By the time I would quit the company, it had an Indian occupancy of 52%. Wildflower Hall, it had accumulated losses over 100 crores in the first 10 years of its existence. And then I remember in 2013, it turned a profit of 3 crores. And after that, it kind of kept on doubling the profit every year. And by the time in 2018 that I would quit, it was already at 32 crores. Uh, for me, and Wildflower Hall had a 99% domestic occupancy, 1% foreign occupancy, because if you are a European, why would you come to Himachal to see the hills? You'd rather go to the Alps. So that was for me like a calling. That meant that Indians were ready to start traveling. Now that also coincided with EazyDiner, and also the fact that EazyDiner already started. I did not have an executive role in the company. I was the head of the board since the very starting. But it gave me a very nice ringside view on how Indians were embracing digital technology. How the most important thing that hoteliers in the country miss is they focus on product, which is very important too. But there's a very nice saying in the Silicon Valley which says that first time founders focus on product and second time founders focus on distribution. So that product distribution mix actually was the right time. I think if you would have done Postcard in 2013-14, it wouldn't have been half as successful as it is today. So the timing was just right. I was aching to do my own brand. I still remember we had a review of operations in Bombay, and we finished that operational review. It was 2017 April, and Prakhar, who has been with me at my office at Oberoi and now at Postcard and EazyDiner, Prakhar and I flew directly from Mumbai to Mangalore. I bought my first hotel, and 14 days later, I would have a meeting with Mr. Oberoi where I would say that because my ambition was to do a hotel company, I'm in direct conflict, and it's time for me to start going out of the company. Finally, it would take another 9 months before I would finally leave because the Oberoi New Delhi had to open. But yeah, the seeds were sown pretty much on Baisakhi, April 13, 2017, where I wrote a personal check to buy a dilapidated hotel asset 0 meters from the sea, to completely demolish and make it again. Because I thought the time had arrived for us to build a new luxury hotel narrative, but this time coming out of India.
Very good, Kapil. Tell me, what are the sort of 2, 3 key attributes, the brand integrity of Postcard Hotels? What has and what will define Postcard Hotels?
Okay, so it's a very good question. So how is it different? Yeah. And that's a very good question. So when I was doing it, our idea was, what did we want to do really? What would the postcard stand for? Because what happens to executives at senior positions when they quit jobs? Let's talk about that. Yeah. Either you become a consultant, so you work for some flunky owner who's got the money and needs an intelligent guy to help him make some more money. So that's what happens. Yeah. So
Is
most
that
of the
what you think we are doing?
No. I'm saying what happens to senior hotel executives when they become consultants. You have been a consultant, you've not been a hotel executive. Okay, so there's a difference, yeah. So you get competition pretty much. Saying Kapil Chopra has also opened up his consulting firm now, and he's done work. He'll be able to do a better job than Horwath or whatever. That's So so for me, we didn't want to be in that space. The second part was that we always wanted to be an entrepreneurs, and that's why we pursued EazyDiner during that time too. And I'm still one of the biggest investors in EazyDiner personally. And three, I was very clear that there was the right space to do a hotel brand. Two very important things were happening in the global landscape of hotels. Airbnb was making waves because their ad was beautiful. From a bed, a picture of Eiffel Tower and saying live there, even if just for a day. So Airbnb had kind of come in and said, travel is going to be experiential. So we kind of did a plot, and we did a plot on differentiation and premium. Okay, on a X and Y axis, and we said, so what is the first basic hotel that happens? Yeah, the first basic hotel that happens is what I call a commodity hotel. So you basically do a nice budget hotel, and with that nice budget hotel, you kind of put in AC, you kind of put in bed, and that's it. And you can open 1 lakh rooms of this budget hotel brand. Yeah, it's what you call commodity. Got an AC, got a bed, let's go. Yeah, the second phase for me is great product. Yeah? Hotels which have great product, they may or may not have service, they may or may not have brand. Okay. The third level for me of hotels is great service. Yeah. So AC works, bed works, hotel looks beautiful, and service works. That's where all the luxury hotels come in. Now Airbnb came And Airbnb came and said, none of this matters. You know why? Because why does none of this matter? Because travel is going to be experiential. So how does it matter whether it's luxury or it's not luxury? Yeah. So that was the other thing that happened. We said, but let's look at Airbnb now. If you're really looking at Airbnb so closely, 95% of revenues for Airbnb actually come in from US and Europe. They don't come in from India or Asia. Asia is less than 5% the last time I saw the numbers. Yeah. So why is Asia less than 5%? Because security, hygiene is not guaranteed. So that means experiential travel cannot move to the next level. Then we started looking at brands which were beyond experiential. That means they were transformative in their entire approach. Okay, and I said, which are the 3 hotel brands which are transformative? They changed the way people holiday. For me, that answer was Aman Resorts, phenomenal hotels. Yeah. The second company was Six Senses. Yeah, phenomenal. Sonu did such a great job positioning Six Senses. Now it's owned by it's owned by Intercontinental Hotels Group. And the third was One and Only. Yeah, they changed the way people holiday. So we said we need to create a transformational high-end luxury brand which changes the way people holiday, but not sanitize it that we remove it from the community. Okay, why can't it be still next to what Airbnb said with Eiffel Tower? Why can't it be experiential, how locals experience travel? Okay, but still be very, very high end. So that means it's higher than any great product, great service, any luxury hotel in that market which it operates in. And that was the founding philosophy of the product that we wanted to do. But Vijay, I was very cognizant of one thing. I gave you 3 examples: Aman Resorts, Six Senses, and One and Only. What's the one thing common in all these 3 brands that kind of binds them? That the founders who build these iconic brands lost control of their brands. And they lost control of building such iconic luxury hotel brands because of financial modeling, which was not correct. So then I wanted to do an experiential luxury hotel company, which was very, very high end, like these brands, a step ahead of these brands because it was more local, it was more experiential, inspired by what people outside the hotel space like Airbnb were doing and whatever, but still very, very high end luxury. And third, financially modeled very well because I'm not building it to lose control. For me, I said between the Postcard Hotel and EazyDiner, now I'm playing my last innings. Yeah. And if I have to play this innings for a long time, and I'm not here to flip both these companies and make money and then do what with the money? I still live quite well. Okay, so my point is, I wanted to create a brand. I wanted to leave a legacy. So this was how the brand was conceptualized. Now, what sets the Postcard Hotel, and why are we aspiring for the Postcard Hotel to be, in my opinion, a cult brand? Cult means fans, people who love the brand. Incidentally, a Bollywood superstar just tweeted right now, put an Instagram post right now, which is kind of going viral on Instagram. Okay, but the reason that they do is very simple. So we said, what is it that irritates people about staying in luxury hotels? Yeah, and I'll come back to my learnings at the Oprah Group. So I remember when I took over as president at Oberoi Mumbai, we were always trailing the Taj Mahal in Bombay. Yeah, so we had to beat the Taj Mahal in Bombay, but the challenge was Taj Mahal had history. But I had a very good hotel, beautiful views, but I also had 70 suites. Now 70 suites in a corporate hotel post 2008 is not a great idea because everybody wants to stay in the same category. Corporate lives are more about equalization right now than about distinction. Everybody kind of together. So again, I'd asked myself that question and said, why would I stay in a suite? If I get an early check-in, if I get a late checkout, if I get a pick up and drop from the airport, if I get breakfast, it's always there. I don't need to ask for favors. I don't need to know the GM of the hotel to give me all these things. Yeah, it's there. And I said, how do we go a step forward when we were doing the postcard? So we said, okay, if we are going to cater to the highest end of the market beyond any of the other hotels, then what is that one commodity they don't have? And the answer to that was they don't have time. When you're at that level in life, you have everything in life except time. So time is very precious. So we said, okay, let's take the biggest irritant out. So you check in when you want, you check out when you want. Wherever we do a postcard hotel, no matter how busy the city is, you will check in whenever you want, you will check out whenever you want. That's a brand standard. So I will now rework my systems not to do ridiculous rules like check out by 12 p.m., but you can't check in before 2 p.m. Means that's, according to me, not a luxury statement. Yeah, if you really want to be catering to that segment. The second irritant was breakfast buffets. Yeah, so we said We're always going to cook fresh, and you can have breakfast when you start, because we wanted to do holiday destinations and not city hotels really. So you wake up and go at 2 p.m. There should be a fresh breakfast for you. So pretty much the hotel works according to you, not that you work according to the hotel. Now a lot of people in Goa come back at 3 o'clock in the morning, yeah, because they're really partying and whatever and all. What if they want to have food that time and they want to have it in a dining area? But they don't want to order room service. Goa is about experiencing the world around you. So those are the kind of things that we're even working on right now to say anything that you want at your convenience. So postcard is a lot about that. Then simple things we kind of changed. Vijay, why do I have to get a watermelon juice? I think the day hotels stop serving watermelon juices in their hotels, watermelon prices across India will crash. Yeah, because every hotel does a watermelon juice, cheapest thing to do. Could do a watermelon juice or an orange juice or whatever. And we said, why don't I get a choice? So ideally, if I'm going to a holiday destination, people like to start with a drink. You'll be surprised. 82% of all our guests checking into the Postcard Hotel, which are the top CEOs of this country and also top celebrities in this country, actually take an alcoholic welcome drink. 82% people choose an alcoholic welcome drink. How come nobody thought of it? Okay. Even we didn't know whether it's going to work or not. But again, the point is, because we're a brand which looks at consumer feedback even more seriously than any other brand. I can make, there are a lot of brands who are obsessed. Oprah is obsessed about customer feedback too. But again, we want to make those changes based on that feedback, which is dependent. If people were not taking it, I wouldn't do it. And again, it was local. Simple
But
things
do you
like
think
we'll
that
always.
would be different? Do you think that would be different? And maybe you're not going to be there, but do you think that would be different if it was not a leisure hotel, if it was a city hotel? And would you therefore, if you were in a city, would you tweak your standards there?
So we don't want to be in a city, really, yeah, honestly, because cities can't be transformational. Very difficult for a city to be transformational unless you're in Rome, close to the Vatican, or in Paris, or you're in Delhi, very, very in the, if I get a hotel in the middle of Red Fort, yeah. So very difficult otherwise. Otherwise, they become, in my opinion, more cookie cutter. They might just look better or whatever, but it's pretty much still the same. Huh? There's a coffee shop, there's a specialty restaurant, there may be a rooftop restaurant, and there are going to be rooms. Yeah, and there's banqueting. Yeah. We wanted to be away from this space. One, uh, our idea is transformative travel. So our tick box is, Vijay, for the first 5 locations is very simple. It has to be in the hills because hills are transformative. It has to be on the sea. It has to be in your vineyard. It could be a palace because history is transformative too. Yeah, and so mountains, sea, beaches, and wildlife areas. So these are the 5 locations that we go for first because these are transformative. When you see a tiger or a lion for the first time, it kind of changes you. It changes your perspective of how you interact with wildlife. So our game was, why do I need to go? And the other point, Vijay, you know it better because you run a very strong financial advisory in your company is it really rewarding to do a hotel in Delhi or Bombay with the real estate values that they are? And if it is, then why are hotel stocks at the valuations that they are? They should ideally be 10x if it is so rewarding. So my point was very simple. Why do I need to get into a war in this? There's enough people fighting the war in Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, Calcutta, Chennai. Let them fight it. Good. Let everybody do it.
There is
So
no doubt. And if you see, Kapil, even if you see the recovery from the pandemic to the extent that there has been a recovery, and it's been much more in the leisure segment, and the luxury leisure has also done very well. And I'm sure you've seen that same thing with Postcard Hotels.
from our perspective, 2020 has been our best year. We are now pacing at close to 60% over last year. So 60% higher. We were pacing 34% by the end of November already. So it's been our best. It's been a super best year from a operations perspective. It's been a phenomenal year and in spite of 4 months of closure, and it's been a phenomenal year from a development perspective because everybody's kind of now moved. I can give you countless examples of people who are building 100-room hotels and resort destinations who've kind of opted out and said, "Can we do 35, but really, really high end and at your prices?" So we've kind of we've had a stellar year, not because of any other reason, but in 2018 when we started, we had two very big promises. One was the small is big. We believe smaller hotels, people will seek out ultra immersive hotels where people can talk to you. And second is we were building for India first because we said, and this is what running a company like EazyDiner teaches you, numbers. Yeah, and I was always a numbers guy, but even more so because in EazyDiner there's a very nice Jeff Bezos statement that we always quote that if it's about opinions, then the top guy wins. And if it's not about opinions, then bring data. Yeah, it's not about how I feel. So if you're going to tell me, but I really feel this is going to work well, then back it up with data, or you'll be swamped with my opinion. Okay, but if you want me to change my opinion, get me data. And from a data perspective, let's look at numbers. 10 million on inbound tourists into India. Okay, so out of those 10 million inbound tourists, actually only 2 million are in the luxury segment. Let's look at India outbound.
Not even that. Not
Yeah,
even that for you.
So 26 million outbound Indians. Yeah. Assume 10% is in the luxury segment, 2.6 million are in the luxury segment. So those 2.6 million, when they were stuck in India, they could not go out, travel due to a pandemic. Where else would they go? They would go and seek high-end luxury hotels. These guys were the guys who were holidaying in the Europe or US or whatever. Means there's not even a day since December where we do not have a private jet movement in Goa. Not even a day, Vijay. Okay, and not because of the reason that we kind of built it for the private jet setters. No, it's just we kind of rolled out a plan. We thought this behavior will change by 2023. COVID changed this behavior 3 years earlier for us. That small is big. People are seeking us out more than they're seeking out larger hotels because they're scared and having breakfast with 200 people. And once that behavior change has happened, means earlier on you and I would be doing this on stage, 200 people watching us or 300 people watching us. Now everything's online. So what has happened? There's a behavior change happened. Yeah, so that behavior change got accelerated due to COVID. People are now seeking smaller, ultra immersive, high-end luxury hotels, and I think we really give value. But from a price perspective, our average room rates are northwards on a year-to-date basis of 23,000, so which is pretty much one of the highest for a brand in this country. So it's not that, and I still believe we provide value, but it doesn't really come cheap, and still we have enough.
Today people, for that exclusivity that you give, or that privacy that you give, they don't want to necessarily go into big hotels. They're willing to pay the price for it because they value that exclusivity, that privacy, and obviously yes, the spaces and the service that would go with that. Let's look at it a little differently from an operations point of view. Managing small hotels of that size, whether it's 10, 12 rooms or it's 30 rooms, and in multiple locations. What are the challenges that you face? I mean, whether it's staffing challenges, marketing challenges, how do you deal with those issues?
Good question, Vijay. So from our perspective, because we kind of planned the brand like this, so focus Goa. Let's talk about Goa for 1 second. So what is Goa? If you really ask normal people, they would say North Goa, South Goa. Where are you staying? North Goa or South Goa? Okay, and our point is Goa is 332 villages, I think. 332 villages, 5 taluks, 13 districts. So our point is which one? So that is why if you really notice the name of our hotels is about the village, the postcard Moira, the postcard Vela, the postcard Killing. Okay, why? Because we're saying, but every village is totally different from any other village. So we could do 30 hotels in Goa. So Goa is a central services system. We have a resort manager in every hotel. We have a head of Goa operations who can actually take on more hotels. So we kind of model that game out so that we understand the market very, very well. But again, the property, we evaluate a new hotel in Goa every day. We have a development person based in Goa, and he keeps on looking at assets all the time. But again, until as the asset speaks to us, because I also believe we have the responsibility of being curators for our guests. We need to curate properties and experiences for them. So we need to be very careful about the hotel that comes on board. So from that perspective, that is how Goa operates. In other destinations, like Bhutan, it's 15 suites. But in Bhutan, the average room rates before we shut down were $1,000 a night, 76,000 rupees a night. Yeah. So
and Bhutan has always been a place with small size hotels.
Yeah. And we are pretty much one of the larger ones, because Amman is 8 or 10 rooms there. So we're pretty much one of the largest players there with a door.
I think Amman is just one property with 16 rooms. Rest of them are small, 8 rooms, 5 rooms. Yeah.
Our point is that with the Postcard Deva in Thimphu with 15 beautiful suites, minimum room size of 1,000 square feet, we're pretty much a larger operator there, and the rate is so good that it's equivalent to a 100-room hotel in Delhi. Yeah, because that's the ARR difference. If I was running a luxury hotel in Delhi, it's 100 rooms to 15 rooms in Bhutan, because of the average room rate and occupancy. So from our perspective, ideally we try and go. We believe that profitability in a destination would ideally needs you to have 25 odd rooms, and if you have less than 25 rooms in a property, then your average room rate needs to be much higher. But let me give you a real example. I'm not the first guy, and like I always tell people that we're not the first people who saw this opportunity. But let's look at Oberoi One Villas, which I was responsible for some years back. Yeah, the Oberoi One Villas actually has 25 tents, but it has higher profitability than some of the 100-room hotels in the company, and it's only open for 9 months. So there's a live example of a company running that, and a very successful hotel. Can't get a room at the Oberoi One Villas too. So our point was, why can't this model be replicated across? And why can't hotels be built in 12 to 18 months? Why do they have to take 5 years? So our point is, next time when Vijay wakes up in Bombay, he should have 6 options to go from Bombay within 2 to 3 hours. Okay, and that's where the postcard will actually get you more than any other brand, because brands will take 5 years or 6 years to come there, and we would have already opened there. And you would know, because we're so strict on diligence and getting the right property, that we've kind of done our homework, that there will never be a substandard experience with us, because we're about customer obsession.
How reliant are you upon the OTA service, or is it something that is not relevant for you?
Okay, so at this end of the market, it is so one thing I want to make very clear, that OTAs are totally our partners. Okay, so I don't have an adversarial relationship with them at all. I absolutely love what Veep does at Make My Trip, or what Ritu does at Booking.com. Yeah, so I absolutely love what they do, because they enable distribution, which is a very important fact. And I told you, second time founders obsess about distribution. But also the fact that we directly work with a lot of banks, whether it's American Express, whether it's Citibank, whether it's IndusInd, whether Vistara Airlines. Yeah, we were their first hotel partner. Can you beat it? We were the first hotel partner of Vistara was Postcard Hotel. Then every other brand has now started coming in. So we try and go where people would go direct. So from our perspective, because we're a luxury brand where it needs to be highly personalized, my non-direct share of business is less than 5%. Less than 5%. It's mostly direct for us.
That's fantastic.
And that is also what drives profitability. So our EBITDA for Goa, and these may be slightly incorrect times to compare, because times are really good for brands like us, but is upwards of 60% on a hotel level.
With those kind of average rates, if you told me that your EBITDA was 30%, then I would question what you were doing. And I think it's great that you're able to get that much of business direct, and it should be, for that kind of a positioning, you should be able to get that. Yeah. Let's change tack a little bit, Kapil, in terms of yourself. Okay, we talked a little bit about yourself at the start, but what got you into the hospitality industry? What is your background? Why hotels?
So my mother comes from a publishing background, and my father was a doctor. So I actually wanted to be a doctor, Vijay. And that is why you will keep on seeing these things about charity beds and public healthcare, because I'm deeply passionate about public healthcare. If I was not a hotelier, I'd be in public healthcare. I actually think I want to reform public healthcare in this country in a significant way. I started a small thing called charity beds, which became very central to the efforts of Delhi government during COVID times, because we're the only guys who had updates on hospital beds, really, because we have people on the ground. We've been running it for close to 8-9 years now. So deeply passionate about public healthcare, but I didn't clear any I didn't clear any doctor medical entrance exam. I don't know whether it was good or bad, but I just couldn't crack it. And so hotel management was that time not an option, because I was always fond of food. But I just went into hotels, and once I joined hotel school, there was a complete love affair. I could never go back. I could never do anything else. So I'll still keep on dabbling into my focus on public healthcare, and I'm still trying to create bigger and better impact there. I think
it's not too bad. Kapil, it's not too bad. It's hospitality instead of hospitals, so it's all right.
Yeah. So yeah, but
little bit of a difference.
Experiential hospitals. Yeah. So. So that's not the idea. But yeah, public healthcare, and then got into hotels, and then went into OCLD, and did 2 years of OCLD. Worked with the Oprah Group for 3 years, then worked with Hyatt for 3 years. Worked with Taj for 2 years. Came back to opening the Trident in Gurgaon, then the Oberoi in Gurgaon, then the northern region for the company, and then the president for the last 5 years. And then I was, it was destined. I had to be an entrepreneur. It means you have to create something, and I was not deterred one bit when I would walk away from that job to say that I really wanted to do something different. If I did not, then then why would I go and buy a hotel 9 months before I would quit? Means those are registry documents, everybody can view it. And the whole reason to buy it 9 months before I quit was to come into a direct conflict to say that, and the reason to buy it was also to prove to myself, Vijay, what really happens is when you run big jobs, and the president of Oprah is a very nice job. You get good money, you get good social status, you're okay. You don't want to go away. Yeah, it takes a lot to walk away. And a lot of people would tell me, well, what, why, but still why? And I can tell you, that I was chased by a top hotel brand for 6 months, a rival competitive brand to be heading it. But my point was very clear. I was done. I was done. I really wanted to make a contribution. I really wanted to focus on innovation. And whether it worked or didn't work, touch wood, we're very thankful to all our friends and customers and team members, the people who came from the Oberoi to work with me.
Kapil, I'll tell you something. Sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. I'll tell you something. There's one word that's not associated with you. There's two words that are. The two words associated with you are confidence and aggression. The one word not associated with you is the word shy. You're never shy. So in that, exactly. So in that context, I think doing what you want to do, what you always wanted to do, and taking on the challenge of building something new is fantastic. But tell me, what gives you that confidence, that self-confidence? Is it an inner attitude? Is it something you've cultivated?
No, it's always been like this. I've always kind of challenged why things have to be a particular way. No, I never wanted to leave Oberoi. And I remember a very nice conversation I had with Mr. Oberoi when I was rejoining the company. Yeah, and he says, "But why did you quit? I'm looking at your file. You were one of our, gold medalists, and why did you have to quit?" And I said, "Mr. Oberoi, it's not about that. My only point was I was doing such a great job as a front office manager at the Oberoi in Delhi, and then you got another guy on top of me who was senior to me." And the logic that was given to me was, he's the senior batch to you. That's like the government, no? That's not private sector. That's like the government, yeah. Many years back, when you make you the president, he says, "See, we didn't follow the batch, huh? Did we?" I said, "No, you did not." He said, "So we changed too." So that was always a thing. So I've always kind of challenged, why do we have to do things the way that we do, and why can't we do different things? And I think
on that point, let me ask you one question. A lot of times I wonder that you've got the international hotel companies and you've got international money flowing into acquiring international hotel companies. There is very little money that flows from India into acquiring international hotel companies or into taking Indian brands overseas. Some have, and they've done it successfully, but certainly not to the same degree as some of the international brands. What is your thought on that? And do you think that's an opportunity for you to step up?
Yes, but again, that was not an opportunity 5 years back. It's an opportunity now, and I'll tell you why. Yes. Because about it, why do American hotel brands really come into India and set up hotels that have done so well in Asia? Whether you look at Marriott, whether you look at Hilton, and the reason for that is very simple. They have the source market, so the brands are known in the source markets, and when the source market people travel to other destinations, they have a level of familiarity. But two things have happened. The internet has taken away what we call information asymmetry out. Earlier on, people would come and stay in one of their branded hotels for information, saying, "Oh, this is going to be safe." Yeah. But today with information asymmetry, everybody has the same information available, so that's gone. So that's one. Two, people would come and stay in the same hotels because of loyalty programs, which are very, very powerful on how these companies have evolved and kept their programs going, which is also there. But again, India was never a strong outbound market to be affording an Indian brand and saying Indians are going and traveling there and whatever. That's all changed. So now 26 million outbound traveler means we are one of the top countries in the world with outbound travel happening. Yeah, and it's only growing, and Indians are only traveling more and getting more affluent, and there's a new class of people who are getting wealthier. So due to which, what's really happening is there's enough potential for us. We just think about it. And I was asked this question in the press conference that said, "Kapil, you've done 5 hotels, opened 5 hotels till now in the last 1 year. And how come when you were president of Oberoi, you have not opened in any of these destinations? Were you waiting to quit?" And I was asked this in a press conference. And I said, no, It's just that Goa is one of the most amazing markets that I felt in India, and Bali is, like, for example, one of the most amazing markets in Asia. So I believe that Goa did not get its due, and we really wanted to put it on the FIT travel map of India, and that's why we did Goa. And then we did Bhutan because we believe that India hadn't seen Bhutan. Means the closest hill station to Delhi is Bhutan. You take a 1 hour 45 minutes flight, you're in Thimphu. It's a scenic flight. You see the Mount Everest when you're flying. The pilot announces, please look onto your right, it's the Mount Everest. You land into Thimphu, 40 minutes you're at my hotel. It's stunning. You can't get to Shimla so fast. You can't get to Mussoorie so fast. You can't get anywhere so fast, really. Yeah. So our point was, but nobody had explored it. Yeah. Similarly, I believe Kathmandu has got a lot of potential too. But Indians have labeled Kathmandu as a tier 2 destination or a tier 3 destination for lower end Indians traveling. Yeah. So nobody's kind of figured that out yet. But again, look at the connectivity. Look at the mountains from Nepal look different from anywhere else in the world. But nobody's really captured Nepal in a very significant big way. So we believe there are enough opportunities. Sri Lanka, fantastic. 1 hour flight, 2 hour flights, and you're directly into Colombo, and Gaul is such an amazing destination. You can go and see the blue whale.
But those markets will not necessarily give you on a consistent basis the $500 room rates or the $400 room rates and plus. My question is, sorry, the Sri Lanka market, for example.
Sri Lanka is challenging on rates, but yeah, okay. Yeah.
Or maybe Kathmandu as well. Yeah, but maybe some of the other parts of Nepal will. My question is that, do you think there is potential or that it would happen? And what would it take for, I mean, you said it's the fact that Indians are now traveling abroad, but what would it take for an Indian entrepreneur to acquire a large hotel company overseas or to make a big splash of development of their own brand overseas?
We'll do it.
Would you be able to do it only at the luxury level that you are, or do you think that there would be other segments that would need to be addressed?
So one of the big things about being an entrepreneur is to not to do what you don't want to do. I'll give you an example. We get offered so many hotels from a development pipeline, and I've asked this question many times. And I have no qualms in asking to my contemporaries. I asked Navjeet Ahluwalia once, he's now at Hilton. I said, I say no to every third hotel. Do you think I'm really stupid or whatever? Something wrong with me, Navjeet? And he says, no. You have to be right to the brand that you're creating. And I remember asking Puneet Chhatwal once, and I said, look at Accor has so many hotels in Paris and whatever across multiple brands. Do you think my strategy is not right that I'm saying no? And I'm focusing on quality. Is it a bit too much? And he says, no, it's your call, and there's no right or wrong answer. So there have been discussions in the peer group a lot of times when we've talked, we've chatted of what we've kind of built. But our point is, we'll be there. I don't need to acquire right now because I don't see from an acquisition perspective anything that's very interesting or creates value. You look at why is Aman Resorts been sold twice over, Vijay? Didn't create value for any of the stakeholders, and that's my point. So one of the big things, let me share a very interesting example. So one thing I want to tell people on the call, or hoteliers or entrepreneurs who are listening in, is that if you have an idea and you think you can execute it well, then capital is not a problem. Capital cannot be the constraining factor. The constraining factor is your execution and the intellectual thought behind your idea. More than the intellectual thought behind your idea, it's execution. That's a constraining factor. I can't execute because I can't attract talent. I can't execute because of ABC reason. But capital is no longer a constraining factor. It used to be, no longer now. If you think you have an idea, I remember one of the biggest PE funds in India chasing us with $100 million check. Chasing means forcing me nearly to take $100 million, 700 crore rupee check to start the Postcard Hotel and kind of opening 20 hotels in one go. We said, but we don't want to do it because it's financially not going to be logical. It's a great thing to do if I want to build scale and then flip it and saying, I own 10% of Postcard, I flipped it, now I'm a billionaire. Everything looks good, but I'm not running this company, somebody else is running. But we didn't want to do it. We said, we're going to do hotels with a soul, it's going to take time. But the answer to your question on international expansion is very clear. We'll be in Europe very soon, Vijay. I don't know if that answer is not.
That's
and not in one of the other countries, but in a major significant country on the tourism map, we should be in Europe pretty soon. But again, really depends on, we nearly did one, but it really depends on if it meets our criteria of the 5 points that I mentioned: hills, mountains, best in class. That's also important for me. I'll give you an example. I don't want to do a hotel in Udaipur because the Uday Vilas is a great hotel. The Lake Palace is a great hotel. The Leela Palace Udaipur is a great hotel. Okay, the Devi Garh is also a pretty nice hotel. Do they really need a postcard there? No. The postcard needed in Gir, in Kaziranga, in Leh, in Kabini, in Tadoba,
Sure.
another 10 in Goa, in Sri Lanka, in Nepal, in Bhutan, in Phuket, in Krabi, in Cambodia, in Laos, in Myanmar. I'd love to do the Strand. So so it's not that we don't have global ambitions, but we just want to do it properly. We want to build it sustainably.
I mean, you started this in 2018, so it's still early days, 17, 18. So it's still early days, and I'm sure it will work out well. Now let's switch gear a little bit in terms of, let's talk about EazyDiner. I mean, if you could sort of very quickly tell us the sort of the business model behind something like EazyDiner, and sort of what makes it tick. What are the challenges you've had during COVID? But let's first talk about the business model behind EazyDiner.
So simple. You look at restaurant utilization percentages in India, they're abysmal. Yeah, means no restaurant has more than 50% occupancy most of the times. Hotel restaurants have even lower occupancy. How does a typical morning meeting in India happen? A morning meeting, the person who's reading out the numbers in a GM meeting says, last night we did 82% occupancy at an average room rate of 12,800. Last night restaurant A did 3 lakhs and 76 diners. And restaurant B did 2 lakhs in 28 diners, whatever. Yeah, that's how it happened. Yeah. And my point to that was very simple. And let me give you, it came from a personal example. I remember we'd won the best hotel brand in the world. We did a big party at the Whitney Museum. And I just come back and I was just taking around the Oprah in Delhi, if I still remember correctly. And 360, and I was 360 always did very well. And we were walking about, and I just asked the guy, I said, how's it? He said, it's a Wednesday. Generally on a Wednesday, we do well. And for me, that ticked off a point. And I said, if this is the way top hotel companies in the world are forecasting business on books, on restaurants, then there's something wrong. Let me give you another point, Vijay. What's your favorite restaurant in Bombay?
Several. Yeah.
Give me one. Give me one in a hotel. I'd really like this restaurant in a hotel.
Thai Pavilion.
Thai Pavilion. Okay. Call up the Thai Pavilion right now, or go to the Thai Pavilion and tell them, can you tell me how many times I've come to the Thai Pavilion? They will not have the answer. Amazing, no? What a great business. $61 billion of food services business in this country. They don't know how many times Vijay Thacker, who's such a big fan, a big influencer in the hotel business, how many times has he come? He's come many times. And if you're lucky to get the steward who served you, you know your preferences also. But how many times? 41, 43, 82? Nobody knows. How come? But how come when you stay in a hotel, they say, oh, Mr. Thacker, we've got a champagne bottle for you because it's your 50th visit, sir. Congratulations on completing a golden jubilee staying with us. Because the front office is computerized and the restaurant is not computerized. So my point was, wow, what an amazing thing. We're not capturing onto non-residents who are our things. Now imagine if I have a hotel in Kochi, which I had, they tried it in Kochi, in Bangalore, if I'm capturing all non-resident data, that, so I went back and I said, oh, bro, how much data points do we have in our hotel? We had 25,000 data records for non-resident guests. That's it. 25,000 non-resident guests, 360 must be doing in a month. Okay, and in 30 years, that's what we had. But that's the case across all hotel companies, across all restaurant companies. Anybody who tells you they have data is lying to you. So if you do not have data, yeah, and if you do not know who your customer is, if you're not telling Vijay Thacker, who's such a big Thai Pavilion fan, that this week you've got a special going on, then how are you going to attract him? Then what are you doing? Then you are like the Indian farmer, yeah, who's now waiting for the rains to come. And if the rains don't come, the guy goes into debt. Okay, and that is one of the reasons why capacity utilization in hotel restaurants is so poor. And same, if this is hotels which have slightly higher level of people, you can imagine the standalone restaurants. Until it's run by an owner, most of the standalone restaurants are also on the same wheel. That was the founding idea of EazyDiner. It came from a personal problem as president of Oberoi. That if I could sell 2 tables, one for lunch, one for dinner, in the 70 restaurants that we operated, it would mean at an average room rate, at an average APC of 2,000, rounded off to 2,500, 10,000 tables, 20,000 a day, into 70 restaurants, 14 lakhs a day, 4 crores a month, 50 crores just on one table extra for lunch. 50 crores, yeah. And what were our profits that time? 120 crores. I could have taken my profits up by 30%, just making sure one extra person comes on on a table, because only the food cost is the variable extra. You're not hiring one extra staff to serve one extra table. Yeah. So there were insights like this, and that's what. Imagine if this happens to the food services business in India. That's the difference I wanted to make. Again, I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to challenge, why do hotels work like this and why do restaurants work like this. Came from a personal issue. We were not opening many hotels at the Oberoi. I had to kind of increase the revenue from the existing assets I had. I had to sweat the assets more, and that was the founding philosophy of EazyDiner.
So tell me, with the experience and the knowledge that you have at EazyDiner, what is the advice you would give to whether it's standalone restaurateurs or hotels in terms of the changes in eating habits, cuisine preferences, uh, you know, days of week demand, days of week pricing even? Would there be any insights you would like to be able to throw up from that?
So the first thing I tell them is, the first thing I came back to, which is a founding principle, don't focus on product. You already focused on product. That's why you're there and you built a great restaurant. Yeah. And important to focus on the product. But, thinking where the table will go and changing this cup into something else is not going to make too much of a difference. Yeah. Whether it becomes black or it becomes yellow. A lot of people spend time on irrelevant things like that. I think, what if you are running a restaurant? The most important thing you need to do is fix your distribution. How are you getting your business? Yeah, how are you really getting your business? A lot of people get that wrong. Let me give you an example. So we were quite full for dinner last night. Oh, really? Uh, how full were you at 7:30? Learn from other industries. Look at Indigo. Think about it being a Delhi Mumbai Indigo flight. What's the occupancy at 7:30? What's the occupancy at 8:30? What's the occupancy at 9:30, 10:30, 11:30? There are 5 flights in the evening. There are 3 flights for lunch: 12:30, 1:30, 2:30. What's your occupancy at those specific times? And then what are you doing to incentivize those specific times? So some of the leading chains that we're working with in India today are saying, Kapil Prime, which you created from the banks. Then again, why do we work with banks so closely? Whether it's American Express, whether it's Citibank, whether it's IndusInd, whether it's HSBC, whether it's Stanchart, whether it's Axis. Why we work with them so closely is because who wants the customer as much as you do? Yeah, who wants a customer in the restaurant as much as you do? The credit card company. Why? Because they want to swipe up the card. Yeah, because that's a transaction for them. Yeah, correct. And they earn a piece on that. How are you working with banks to be funding this? Let me give you a real example, Vijay. Citibank is saying, book your table on EazyDiner. So you go to Thai Pavilion on EazyDiner, book it on EazyDiner. So Thai Pavilion will always give you a deal because we always tell them to incentivize. But let's say Thai Pavilion said, Vijay, I'm not going to give you anything extra because you're coming to EazyDiner. No problem. You go into, 2 people go into Thai Pavilion, you have a bill of 3,000 rupees. When you settle and pay on the EazyDiner app, Citibank is giving you 500 rupees off. No questions asked. You just take your Citi card, instantly, no statement cashback, instantly your bill will become 2,500. Instant. Yeah. Why would you not use this in restaurants and hotels? And the bigger problem is that my guys, when they talk to restaurants and hotels, and some of the bigger challenges are there, they're negotiating. No, but you guys charge a commission of 100 rupees. It should be 95 rupees. Really? So that 5 rupees is going to save you a lot. Yeah. Okay. What about the 5,000 you just lost doing this negotiation for 5 rupees? So I think one is that.
That's the Indian habit of negotiating on everything.
Okay, I think forward-looking guys are, and there are enough of them in the industry too, are coming and saying, what can we do to make it better? How can we add?
But tell me.
CEOs are saying, can I add 50 crores on F&B couple? Can I add 50 crores now? What are the 5 things I need to do to add 50 crores in F&B? And that's and that is how you should approach it. I kind of built it to solve a personal problem for a CEO of a hotel company, which that time was me. Okay, I am now building it for people, for GMs and whatever, and say, questions is, how can I double my business? How can I triple my business? Yeah. And that's the question. And there are standalone restaurant companies who are doing some absolutely amazing stuff. I mean, there's a standalone company that would actually this year would do close to 60 crores of business to EazyDiner. It's not a hotel company. 60 crores of revenue to EazyDiner, certified by them. That's 10% of the revenues is coming to EazyDiner. People booking on the platform. Just embraced it. So I would say my only advice to people is embrace how you can fix your distribution digitally. Do that. And take it personally. If you were empty at 7:30, take it personally. saying, "Oh God, I was empty at 7:30. Oh God, I was empty at 8:30. Oh my God, what can I do to increase my slot time occupancy?" Don't look at I did 130 covers for dinner. Break it down into 5 slots. How much did you do? If you did those 130 and 9:30, you've got a you're not maximizing 7:30 and 10:30 or 11:30. That
Now, what
I
you're
think that
saying is that we are not doing enough revenue management in the restaurant sector, and
not at
that's
all.
where the F&B can benefit. So, a couple of questions that have come from the audience. One is, when you transitioned from an executive to an entrepreneur, what was the one or two key changes that you had to make?
Also, so I was lucky. It's pretty tough. Huh? I mean, I tell people, got to be clear about. So I was very clear. This is what I wanted to do. Two, EazyDiner had started, and although I was in a non-executive role, but I was still the largest shareholder, yeah, at that time too, yeah. So my point was that I already had an office to come and work at. I didn't have to set up my office or whatever. I quit and I kind of just came here, yeah. And Postcard, and because I was used to doing startups, so Postcard was also set up. So I knew how to set it up, and I already had the infrastructure in place. So my thing is, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you got to be really passionate about the idea. Okay, means COVID. Let's look at COVID. Yeah, COVID could have 4 months. Restaurants were closed in EazyDiner. Means I put out a LinkedIn post and on Twitter, we are back to pre-COVID levels, and it takes a lot. It takes a lot. But if I was not convinced about the idea, then I would give up and saying, oh, "Listen, Kapil, you can always go back to a multi-crore job. Yeah, why do you have to do all this? So one thing is
Sure.
that the second part is you need to be prepared. So I prepared myself. So I said, what do I really like? I really like food a lot. Huh? So what happens to my food? Yeah. From a financing perspective, means great salary. Yeah? Means my salary is public on the domain. I was the highest paid guy at Oprah Hotels. Yeah. So what happens when that goes away? Yeah. So how do you financially handle that? So you need to make a financial plan for that. And third is your own mental makeup. What is it that you're seeking in life? And that's a very important one because a lot of people go wrong here and they're so scared to do that. Yeah. What you're seeking, if you're seeking applause in life, a lot of people saying, I'm just seeking तालियों की गड़गड़ाहट चाहिए मुझे. अगर तालियों की गड़गड़ाहट चाहिए तो सर्कस में जाइए. बिकॉज जब भी कोई ट्रिक करेंगे आप या जंप मारेंगे किसी भी हुप से तो लोग तालियां मारेंगे. So go join a circus if you want an applause. But if you really want to build something, be passionate about it, be happy about it. Means Vijay, I get up every morning and I'm not exaggerating. I just feel so excited coming to work. Yeah, I'm so happy coming to work. I am so energized coming to work. So
And that's what drives your confidence. That's what drives your confidence.
So I think and I absolutely love what I do. And there is always a fear of failure, but that's okay. One of the media guys, he's written a beautiful share on his Twitter profile, which I will say. And in that share, he says very nicely in Hindi. He says, "मेरे यार पतंग उड़ाया कर, मेरे यार पतंग उड़ाया कर, कट जाए तो गम ना खाया." पतंग तो उड़ाओ, तो वो भी जरूरी कट गई तो देखा जाएगा. So
Yeah.
so our point was we have to do it. Yeah. Matlab, I would otherwise die. And so this is a nice shade, but let's come back to legends who kind of shaped the world that we live in. Let's come back to Jeff Bezos for 1 second. And Jeff Bezos, and that was the final thing for me actually. So the water keeps on coming up to the brim, but one day it just brims over. And for me, it was a Jeff Bezos line which made it brim over. So if you go and read the Amazon story, in which he was a very successful trader, I think at Booz and Allen, yeah, and he had a $1 million bonus coming to him at that time, and he kind of walked away from it. And the founder of Booz and Allen walked with him and said, don't quit, Jeff. You're so amazing. Why do you need to do this and all? And Jeff said, I made my life into what he calls the minimization regret theory. Minimize your regrets in life. Yeah. So he said, when I'm 85 and I may just be about to die or whatever, and when I'm 85 and I think about it, that should I have taken a $1 million bonus or should I have tried to build Amazon? What should the answer be? So think about that. And I asked myself that question, and I said, if I reach 85 and I ask myself that question, what would I regret? I would regret not building a hotel brand, because ever since I became a general manager, I've been convinced that I can create a brand. So I'd regret not doing it. I just took my regret out. So that's what gives me the so
That's
I'm
fantastic.
I'm living it up. That's it. So even if it fails, ठीक है, पतंग उड़ाई, कट गई, कोई बात नहीं, कोई गम नहीं, दोबारा कुछ करेंगे, कोई ऐसी प्रॉब्लम.
That's fantastic advice for not just an entrepreneur but even a professional who wants to pursue a passion in the field that he or she is in. We've got the last 3 or 4 minutes, and there's 2 points I need to touch with you. One is, give us a couple of sentences of advice for the young hoteliers, the upcoming staff, managers who want to progress their careers, even the students who are in the industry today and sometimes are worried what the shape of the industry is going to be. I'm sure it's going to come back very strongly. But what is your advice to them?
Simple. So, one new thing that we started at the Postcard Hotel is now before I interview somebody, I tell them to read 3 books. Okay, because one of the things people don't do in our business is read. Yeah, and reading will transform you, will change you. So I believe 2 things will always change you: reading and travel, because they take you outside your domain of what you see. Okay, so until you go to Barcelona, you don't know that the Spanish like to eat like the Indians. They start coming in at 10 o'clock. First time I went to Barcelona, I went down on the street at 8 p.m. and said, "Hey, I heard it was quite a happening city. What happened?" He said, "Sir, this is Barcelona. Come in at midnight and we'll tell you what a happening city is." And it happens at midnight. Yeah. So Paris doesn't happen like that. It shuts off at 9 p.m. It's quiet. It's nice. So it's a different thing. So travel changes you, reading changes you. So I tell people to read 3 books. For example, before you get an interview with me, one is 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel, one of the biggest thinkers, fantastic. And these are all startup books. The second is Tools of Titans by Tim Ferriss, which is how do world-class athletes, world-class performers perform and train to be the best in the world. And the third is The Shoe Dog by Phil Knight, who built Nike into a global luxury brand. And again, it's inspirational when you read, because it's also about how do athletes train. Imagine if you are an Olympic level athlete, Vijay. You train for 4 years and it all comes down to that 1 minute 10 seconds. Yeah. You lose and you start training again. And there are enough examples who don't win anything on first time, they win third time. I think 2 big examples were the Indian cricket team. Look at the backgrounds they came from when they won this test. I think the other big example yesterday was Joe Biden. Three attempts at presidential election, finally gets it at 78. So one of the big things in life is not to give up. The second big thing in life is to do what you believe in. The third big thing in life is to always keep on learning and reading a lot. So I still carry a book all the time. Every time you'll see me with a book. I may or may not be able to read it, but I'll still try and read it. So that's my biggest advice. Focus on innovation. There are so many opportunities. So when I look at a chef from an Oprah who's just quit and he wants to do his own range of jams and sauces, it's inspirational. And my advice to him is, I'd like to write the first check in your company, because it's so amazing what you're doing. Because just think about the fact that I see so many great chefs, Vijay, in hotels who doing nothing. They're dying. They're decaying. And death in corporate careers does not happen suddenly. Rarely happens suddenly. Generally happens at the CEO level suddenly when the CEO is told to go. But in general positions, it doesn't happen suddenly. People decay. They decay. They decay on their thoughts. They decay on their life. They just slowly die, and that's bad to see. It's like an elephant dying in an elephant's graveyard.
Is there an age? Is there an age at which people should, let's say, in a corporate job, is there an age when people should say, if I don't move at this time or in a range of time, I'm going to get stuck here and I will decay?
No, not really. Rai Bahadur opened up, but he's a very exceptional human being. Opened up.
But he was an entrepreneur. He was an entrepreneur. Okay, he was not an employee.
So yeah, so my point is, really no age. Okay, it's whenever it strikes you, whenever you think the opportunity is big. Financially, make yourself, make sure you don't have to come back. So financially, make yourself a bit secure. I think that's a bit important. Or you have got a financial pipeline at the back that helps too. But otherwise, make yourself financially secure and be clear. There are no it's like the mafia. Once you come in, you can't go back. So live like that. If you live like that, then you'll be okay. But there is no specific age. But if you were to ask me that question, if I would change one thing, I would have done 3 years as president. I didn't have to do 5 years. There is no gold medal for being the longest serving president of Oprah Group. But so I would have got. So that would have saved me another. Yeah. So as soon as you can, you think you're ready to do it. Means I got a message from a guy who's doing these trips around Kumau, and he's pretty young, in 30s or whatever, and also So just make sure you're financially secure. I think that's one of the keys to be a bit careful about when you do this.
Yes, 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 yes. Last question. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now and 10 years from now?
Great question. I think really, I think we'd still be doing Postcard Hotel. I think we'd still be doing EazyDiner. Really passionate about two of these things. I think I'd be doing something even bigger in public healthcare. Uh, I think I'd be incubating 100 F&B startups for people who want to do different things or whatever. We kind of last month hired our first employee into doing what I call F&B initiatives and investing into F&B startups and helping if you're making jam, sauces, ketchup, whatever. Just go to a departmental store in the US, see the range, see the range in the department store in India. Know that India is affluent, growing faster than the US. Know that it'll catch up in 10 years. What's your game? Yeah, what's your game? How are you playing that game? And if you're not playing that game, then you're just a pawn on the chessboard. So our point is how do we do that? So I think I'd be doing more of this. I also believe there are phenomenal opportunities in the hospitality space. Let me set the cat among the pigeons. Think about it. How about a vacation club? Has anybody done a vacation club in India? Nobody's thought of it. What a great opportunity to do a vacation club in India. Yeah. Look at the market capitalization of Club Mahindra. They do timeshare resorts. Can you create what Club Mahindra did in 2 years? The answer to that today, seriously, is yes. Yeah. You may not own the asset, but can you do it in an asset light way too? Yeah. So there are many opportunities really. Yeah. And they excite me. So one of the big things I do is my team keeps me under a lot of check actually, because I keep on thinking of ideas all the time, saying, sir, can we just focus on what we're doing right now? So I keep on coming back to it because I believe that's a weakness that I have, that I like to do multiple things. I can multi-skill at a different speed. But again, I need to start getting more focused, and also I stay with focus. So I still think the two of the biggest pillars I'm going to have is EazyDiner and Postcard. Because I believe I can really make a difference in both these initiatives, and I really think for the country I need to do something in public healthcare. I think we need to fix it more. I don't know how, but I know because I'm stalking my goal. I know it will come. I always used to give this example that a tiger can walk 5 miles without losing sight of its prey. And that process is called stalking. It's stalking your goal. You need to stalk your. If you think you want to be an entrepreneur, it doesn't mean that after this talk at 6 p.m. you start quitting and start becoming an entrepreneur. It means you do it 5 years later, but you start stalking your goal today. You start becoming an expert on that business today. From 2013 to 2018, as president of a company, I was stalking my goal that the brand had to be done, and this is the right time to do it right now. 2 years earlier, 2 years later, not right. So you just have to know, and that you will only know if you stalk your goal. It doesn't come, one night and you start.
It doesn't just show up. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Kapil. I think this has been a fantastic chat. We could have gone on for another hour, but the time has run out, and
thank you.
I think we will reconnect at some other point for another further chat like this. But thank you so much for your time today. I'm sure everybody has enjoyed it enormously. There's a lot to learn and a lot of confidence to gain from this. So thank you, and all the best.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Take care.
Thank you, everybody, for participating, and look out for our next announcement. We will be having these kind of fireside chats every month. Thank you so much.
Thank you.